Good morning, grade 5 students. Mr. Waterman here with today's mathematics lesson on Monday, August 30th, 2021. Welcome back to school. This is the first math lesson of semester 2. I hope you all had a great summer and I hope you came prepared to work and take notes. Now, I understand that many of you may not have your notebooks, which is fine. What I suggest that you do is to follow along as I'm writing the notes in the video. Take notes yourselves on your own notebook paper, and then you can glue it into your math notebooks when we come back to school. Hopefully we won't be online too much longer, but just in case we are, I want you to have all of the necessary materials, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to open up to my table of contents. And we are starting a new unit. We are going to add fractions with unlike denominators. Very long title. And I'm going to be working in my notebook on page 19. Turning to page 19, I'm going to write my title again. Add fractions with unlike denominators. I know you have already done this in Korean math class, so it should be a review for you already. Okay? The first thing I'm going to write is my objective, as I do with every math lesson. And that is very simple. It's the same as the title. We're going to add fractions with unlike denominators. Okay? So if they are unlike denominators, they are not the same. Okay? So, as I do with every math lesson, I like to start out with a fun example that I like to call Learn About It. It's the same in the textbook. Okay, so let's look at today's example. So I'm going to write all of this out, so please write everything out as well. About 1/5 of the bones in your body are in your hands, and 1/4 of your bones are in your feet. So already we see we have two different fractions and they have different denominators, unlike denominators. So here comes the question. What fraction of the bones in your body are in your hands and feet? Here's my question. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to add these fractions together. So we need to add 1/5 plus 1/4. And that's going to give us our mystery number n. So we don't know. So let's go through the steps to find out how to arrive at the answer. We're going to look at step 1. So we're going to say to add the fractions, you need to find a common denominator. Okay? So denominators, that's going to be the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the product. That's the answer we get when we multiply. Use the product of the denominators to write equivalent fractions. With like denominators. So you remember we studied equivalent fractions in semester 1, right? So our denominators are 5 and 4. So we're going to multiply them together. 5 times 4, that's going to give us 20. This 20 right here, I'm going to draw a nice little arrow. That is going to be our common denominator. Okay? All right. So now I can go through the stages and multiply. I'm going to write it a little bit bigger here so you can see. So first I'm going to do it with 1/5. Multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4. And that's going to give me 4/20. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing with 1/4. Multiply the numerator times 5 and the denominator times 5. And that's going to give me 5/20. So now my denominators are the same. Okay? Now for step 2, I'm going to rewrite the problem then add. Okay, so I'm going to go to another page here. There we go. Now I'm on page 20. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1/5 plus 1/4 equals 4/20 plus 5/20. And that's going to give me an answer of 9/20. And it's in its simplest form. I cannot reduce it and make it any smaller. Okay? So our solution to the question about 9/20 of the bones in your body are in your hands and feet. Okay? So now, that was one way that you can find the answer when you add fractions with unlike denominators. Here's another way. It's going to be a lot of notes, so I hope you're ready to write. Okay. To add fractions, you can also find the least common denominator. This is something else we also learned last semester, right? So LCD for short. Let's look at another example. Let's find 7/8 plus 5/12. Okay? Let's look at step 1. Find the least common multiple, which is the LCM. Remember this because I'm going to quiz you over it. Find the LCM of the denominators. Okay? So this is the LCD. So I'm going to write my numbers down first. The first denominator is 8. The second denominator is 12. First, I'm going to list my factors of 8. 8, 16, 24, 32. Now I'm going to list my factors of 12. 12, 24, and I can stop here at 36. So we know that 24 is going to be the LCD. Okay? The LCD of the fractions is 24. All right. Now we're going to go on to step 2. We're going to use the LCD to find equivalent fractions. Okay, so just like we did before. So I'm going to take 7/8 first. I'll write it big. And I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. That's going to give me 21 over 24. Now I'm going to do the same thing with 5/12, except I will multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2. That's going to give me 10 24ths. Okay? So there's all my work here. You can have a look. Pause the video if you need to take notes. Now I'm going to go on to my 3rd page to do step 3. Goodness, 3 pages of notes. All right. So for step 3, I'm going to add the fractions. And you're going to write the sum in simplest form. Okay? So we take our fractions, 21 over 24 plus 10 over 24, and that's going to give us 31 over 24. Okay? Now, you know we can't leave this fraction like this because that's an improper fraction. So we need to change it into a mixed number. When we do that, that's going to give us 1 and 7 over 24. And there you have it. Okay? Now, after you have reviewed your notes, you can practice. So your homework, as I go through my homework book here, check, check, check. Today we are on add fractions with unlike denominators on page 65. Don't worry, if you don't have your homework book, I have the scanned PDF for you. All right. Here we go. Page 65, add fractions with unlike denominators. So they have another example for you at the top before you get started. It says to add 4/5 plus 2/3. Please remember the steps that I went over with you in the notes. Step 1, use the LCD to find the equivalent fractions, which they did. So 4/5 is equal to 12/15. 2/3 is equal to 10/15, right? So between 5 and 3, 15 is the common denominator. Then step 2, add the fractions. 12 over 15 plus 10 over 15, that's going to give you 22 over 15. That's an improper fraction. So remember to change all improper fractions into mixed numbers, which is what they did in step 3. To simplify, 22 over 15 is equal to 1 and 7/15. Okay? Now, for the homework page, you have 13 problems to work through. Please write each sum, each answer in simplest form. Okay? Please show your work, just like I did. Show as much work as possible. If you don't have a lot of space on the page to show your work, please use the back of the page to show all work. Okay? For number 13, you have a word problem. It says a chef used 3/4 cup of water and 1/2 cup of milk in a recipe. How many cups of water and milk did she use altogether? Please write your answer in a sentence. Okay? She used, and then finish it by writing your answer. Okay? Please show your work in the space provided over here. And that is it for today's mathematics lesson. If you have any questions, please feel free to email Mr. Waterman at any time if you need extra help. Okay? This is what we're going to be working with over the next couple of weeks. I know that you've already done this in Korean math, so it should already be a review for you. Please remember, when we come back to school, you will need to bring your homework books in so I can check to make sure that you've done your homework. If you have not been keeping up with your homework, please do that. You do get a report card score for doing your homework. Okay? That's it. Stay safe and well. Have a great day studying, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye for now.